Global Besties, welcome to 1,000 Miles Pod. You belong here. That feels so good, guys. It is the middle of January, but I'm going to say it anyway. Happy New Year to you all. And this is also a new season of 1,000 Miles Pod. So whether you are an OG Global Bestie or if you're brand new here, we want to let you know the behind the scenes of what's going on and what you can expect this year with the podcast. So we are going to be releasing 2 episodes a month. So every other week we're going to be in your ears. And we're going to have one episode that is a bit more of a deep dive episode, topics that we can really sink our teeth into and get into the nitty gritty of things. And then the other episode will be all around travel. Now, travel is the thing that brought us all together. And if you do follow us on our other socials, then you'll know that travel is a love that we all share, which is why we feel like it's important to go back to our roots.
And before we get into the first episode, I would like to ask you guys to make sure to rate, review, and subscribe. It would mean the world to us. We have big plans for this community this year, so sharing this with someone who maybe who relates with what we talk about would be amazing.
We are so excited to kick off the new season of 1,000 Miles Pod. We literally had a meeting for 3 hours yesterday talking about our vision for this podcast and this community, so we're absolutely stoked. But we're going to start off this episode and every episode with a question that we're going to make a staple of the pod, which is, where in the world are you and how in the world are you? So let's just kick that off. Ty?
I am here in Guernsey. Do you know what? I'm feeling really good today. I think that meeting that we had yesterday and we had a really good catch up and set some intentions for the podcast has really given me the drive, and I feel so positive about this year coming up. What about you, Nikki?
What about you?
I am in New Zealand and I am just like feeling good. I'm a little tired, but the sun is shining. I'm a happy girl in the sunshine, and yeah, life's good. Maddie, where are you at?
I'm at home in Kauai, which is about to change big time, but that's not today's episode, so you have to stay tuned for that one. So that's where in the world I am. How in the world I am is a really good question. Who could be sure? I feel like I'm a little all over the place today and in this season of my life, but we are making it. I feel similarly about the pod, super excited, super sleepy from staying up really late last night, but we're going to make it. We're going to make it. Today's vibe is definitely hopeful joy mixed with grief, mixed with sleepiness.
Oh, quite
A
the
real
combo
cocktail.
she's got going on.
Yeah. Quite the little combo we got. So we're super excited about this episode. Like Ty said, it is the middle of January, but we are going to do a bit of a reflection on 2025 and talk about 2026. So I'm kind of like the person that all of January is the new year, so buckle up because that's what we're going to be talking about. And hopefully this episode encourages you guys and just, I don't know, gives you guys something to think about because we're all trying to figure it out. I think that's the collective theme of all of our lives this year is we are all trying to figure life out. So hopefully this is a little bit of a glimpse with that. But before we kind of dive into what we want 2026 to look like, curious for you guys, what was the highlight and the low point of your 2025? Because I feel like that's going to give context to 2026.
Yeah, Maddie, do you want to kick us off with those this week?
Yeah. So I'm going to actually start with my low point because it'll give context to my high point. So my low point, and this is not something I've talked about publicly, but I feel like it's time for a million reasons. I feel like it's time with the Global Besties and with you guys for a bunch of reasons. But we have been living in Hawaii for the last year. A lot of you guys know that we kind of upended our life at the start of 2025 and moved to Hawaii. But what we haven't talked about publicly is that we moved to Hawaii to help take care of my mom who has dementia. So that has been a really difficult journey. And I know that I'll get more into it. That's, not the episode for today, but I'll get more into that on the pod this year. But that has definitely been the low point for sure. It's been just a year that has been laced with grief behind the scenes. And, 2 things can be true at the same time. It's amazing to live in Hawaii and it's horrible why we're here. That has been the low point of the year. And yeah, like I said, there's a lot with that we could get into later on, but that kind of gives context to the highlight of the year, which was getting to spend this time with my parents. It's been really hard, but it's also been precious. Like, I'll literally never get this time back, especially with my mom, and nothing's guaranteed. Obviously, my dad could pass away, or we could pass away, but with my mom, we just experienced something that we will literally never, ever, ever get back. So that's been the highlight. And then I'm going to say 2 highlights because this also, the low light also gives context to this next one. We had incredible travel last year, but we had incredible travel with friends. A lot of our trips were focused on seeing friends, from, the castle trip with all 3 of us to like the Croatia trip and just Guernsey, and seeing friends. And that, I'm not kidding you, that I think is what lifted us through last year. And those trips were even sweeter because they were a respite for us from like caregiving. And just to have friends like be so understanding and like precious and sweet towards us as we were grieving was just the cornerstone, I think, of our 2025. So kind of a long answer, but that's our high-low of 2025. Nikki, what about you?
Okay, I feel like I was like just sitting here in awe of all of us. I'm like so interested to like hear Ty's as well. Like, this is 2025, I think, was like kind of wild in a lot of ways for all of us. I think people across the board, even looking online, it is absolutely wild to me to think about my low point of 2025, and it was the start of 2025. I was the saddest I have ever been. I have never been more depressed in my life, and there are parts of that I talk about publicly and parts of it I don't. But long story short, I basically thought that content creation and everything I had worked for in my business was like over. Like, I thought it was done. And I felt betrayed by a lot of like personal relationships and different things, and it was just tough. It was hard. I think the highlight coming out of that, first of all, I'm really proud of myself for knowing in that to just keep going. I just remember I kept telling myself, like, this isn't forever. You've been sad before, and you got out of that. You weren't sad forever. And so I just kept telling myself that, like, you'll find it, you'll find the light, it'll be all right, it'll be all right. And somehow I think my theme for 2025, honestly, when I went into it, was to like gaslight myself into things that I never thought I could do. Like, I literally like gaslit myself into running a half marathon. So like, and then like in reflecting on it, I was like, I think I also gaslighted myself into this like crazy life that I now have. So I think the highlight is just starting to travel full time and doing it, even though I've like kind of had highs and lows in it, and there's been a lot of lessons learned, which I knew was coming. The highlight is like, I really just like gaslit myself into this new version of my life and have kind of put these stepping stones together, I think, to like find a bigger balance in creativity, my business, and like a good work-life balance that I feel like truly happy to my core with. So
Nikki, I
those
feel
are
like
mine.
I feel like watching you in 2025 was like, I think we all transformed in our own unique ways last year, but I feel like you had such a stark transformation from where things started in January to where they ended in December, minus like the whole burnout thing in the Philippines. But just everything else, like it was such a joy to get to just watch your grit and watch you just keep going and just choosing joy, honestly.
The words
and choosing
Phoenix.
Choosing grit.
Phoenix rising
She
from the
has
ashes.
risen from the ashes.
I'm a phoenix. Ty, how about you? Highs and lows?
I hate to be that person who's like, I had quite a good year. I feel like 2025 was a positive year for me on the whole, which I'm super grateful for. My low light, I'm not able to talk about at the moment for legal reasons, but I will divulge that information on the podcast when I can. I just can't at the moment. It was something that happened that kind of made me feel unsafe in the place that I should feel the safest. But I am absolutely fine, and all my family's fine and everything, so we're all good. But like I said, I'll come back to that at another time. But my highlight has got to be similar to Maddie's, which is just traveling with friends and making those connections. Ben and I went on some incredible trips this year, like the castle trip to Italy. We also went to the Philippines for some friends. And then we literally bookended our year with a trip to the Philippines with some of our dearest friends. And then we met them again in December to surprise them, actually, and shoot their proposal. And it was just magical. So yeah, those were definitely my high points. And maybe we'll get on to those travel topics in the next episode. So you'll have to listen to hear all about those. Yeah, that leads me on though, because 2025 is behind us, guys. It is 2026. And I'm curious, do you guys make any New Year's resolutions? And if so, have you got any for this year?
Yeah, so I can start with this. So I'm like the most goal-oriented person ever, but it's not because I'm type A, it's because I'm ADHD. And I was diagnosed pretty young and just basically realized like meds weren't a great option for me. So the alternative was I had to be super disciplined. Like I had to out-discipline the ADHD in some areas of my life. So I learned really early on in like middle school that I had to make lists and goals. And that worked really well for me. So I think sometimes like people see the goals I make or like the vision board, all this stuff. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're like a little crazy. I'm like, no, I'm not like type A at all. I'm just like have to stay organized. So I love goals because they add structure to my life. And I know the three of us crave structure, and we'll definitely do an episode on ADHD at some point this year. But so I do make New Year's resolutions. This year, there's so much that's up in the air with our lives, truly. We had, in addition to the low for last year with my mom, we also had a close family member diagnosed with cancer in the last couple of weeks, which we're not going to talk about publicly yet, but we will at some point. So we have so much up in the air this year with like, how do we travel and pursue like our goals, our business stuff, and like our family and our marriage, and care for my mom, care for what's going on with Patrick's family, and obviously if anything else pops up. So all of that to say, this year I'm not doing New Year's resolutions, I'm doing quarterly resolutions. And I feel a lot of peace about that. I feel really good about just trying to take it slower and just being like, you know what? I don't know what's going on. I'm not kidding you, I literally could not tell you what our lives will look like in December. So we're just gonna set some goals for Q1. So one of my big goals for Q1 is to calm my nervous system down. I feel like, understandably, all of 2025, just with caring for my mom, had me in a state of like, just like bracing for impact all the time, and just feeling like, yeah, just dysregulated, like nervous system, like so much inflammation, all of that. So that's one of my goals, is to, in the first quarter of the year, to do some research on like vagus nerve, just like stuff with my vagus nerve and calming that down and like regulating all of that, which is like a super niche goal, but it's where I'm at.
It's what you need, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's what I need. I need to breathe. So yeah, that's like the big goal. I have a whole vision board for Q1, but I mean, it's stuff like getting tan, which I love and I'm not going to apologize for, but the more important things are like calming my nervous system down and like kind of wrapping my head around what does it look like to be far away from my mom and love her well. Nikki, what about you? What's your relationship with New Year's resolutions?
I feel like for the vast majority of my life, I didn't do New Year's resolutions like at all. I was like, silly. It to me kind of felt like Valentine's Day. Like, why do I have to like pick this day to like revamp my entire life? Like, I could pick any day of the year, and I still feel that way. I feel like I am the epitome of, oh, I want to change something about my life. We're gonna flop it on a random Tuesday, and I feel like that's great. But so every year since I started doing it, I've set goals differently. Sometimes it's just like I just make a list and I never look at it again and I never get anything done. And the more I've like gotten into owning a business and doing what I'm doing and all of that stuff, I've been way more intentional and like way more like trying to be super goal oriented. And usually it's like I am goal oriented, but I don't have the solid action plan. So it looks different every year. And this year I'm having very deep conversations with ChatGPT over the course of January. So, and it's mostly just to like keep me calm about it instead of like me feeling overwhelmed. I've explained to ChatGPT I don't want to feel overwhelmed. And so he's like, it's given me this like very basic, like easy to follow step by step, like this is how we're going to set your goals and intentions for the year and like what you really want and what you really need. So also if you guys can hear birds and dogs barking, it's because I'm outside. I didn't have a place inside. So
I love the ambient noise.
So yeah, I think this year I'm just trying to like continue to follow the path of like finding what feels really good for me. So right now my goals are to just I'm kind of shifting everything in my business, which I can talk about later, but I'm just setting these goals and trying to like find a balance that seems attainable for the way that I want to continue to live my everyday, which is not working 12 hours a day. And finding a lot of ways to make that more efficient and to still have a little bit of stability. I'm trying to find like consistency and a little bit of stability in the chaos that is my life. And I feel like I'm on a good track. So that's where I'm at with my goal setting. I would also like to note, because we all talked about this yesterday, none of us had any plan whatsoever for 2026 on New Year's Eve. Like none of us. We, in fact, I don't think any of us really had any solid idea what was going on with our 2026 or a thought about it until like 5 days into January. So like,
yeah, no, that's so real. Patrick and I so Hawaii was supposed to be a year. We were like having an open heart about it. Like we'll just kind of see how things go. But it was supposed to be a year and we're at the year mark. And last January when we moved out here, we were like, okay, like we'll just move out there. We will sell our house in Arizona, all that stuff. Like just be with your mom, care for her. And along the way, surely along the way in 2025, it will become clear to us what the next steps are with our life. Like, should we stay here another year? Should we move abroad? Should we move back to the mainland U.S.? And it was literally New Year's Eve, and Pat and I were like, do you have an idea? I don't know. Do you have an idea?
2025 showed us nothing.
I know. I was like, well, this has been weird.
But if you're listening to this and you think, oh my God, I didn't set any intentions, I haven't done my vision board, I don't know what I'm doing this year, we are all in the same boat. Because I too have not even thought about 2026 yet. I feel like, if you know, I'm a postie, so December is just absolute carnage at work. And I feel like I haven't yet had the opportunity to sit down and breathe. So if you guys are like us, don't feel like you've missed the boat. You can set your intentions whenever you want. It doesn't have to be the 1st of January. So yeah, for me, I mean, I hadn't thought about any resolutions or anything until we had a conversation last night. And Nikki and Maddie were talking about whether you have a word for 2026. And I didn't. However, I do now. And that is going to be intentionality. I just want to be more intentional with my time. And I want to be intentional with friendships and with my work and with travel. I think we have a lot to look forward to in 2026. And I just want to be present and intentional with everything that I do.
I love that. Yeah.
I love that. What's your word, Maddie?
I don't know. We talked about this yesterday and I was like,
I didn't know if you'd had a thought since then.
I've had lots of thoughts. I'll just go for the quarter. I think my goal for the quarter for Q1 is just to breathe, which isn't like that cool of a word.
No, I love
like
something.
Word, it's like the one thing that we automatically do as humans that I'm like, I just want to do that one thing better.
No, I love that.
Yeah, but intentional breathing is
there you go.
different than just breathing for existence. Yes.
Yeah.
And just like Maddie, if you guys need to take it quarter by quarter or month by month, week by week, day by day, that is okay too, because I think it's so easy to look on social media now and see people have their whole year planned and you think, shit, I'm unorganized. But life changes, things, you know, curveballs happen. You don't have to have it all worked out now. So please don't panic. But if you do have a word for your year, Nikki will ask you what yours is in a second. But listeners, if you have one, please let us know. You can drop us a DM on Instagram. Please let us know what your word of the year is, or of the quarter. Nikki, do you have one?
Yes, my word for 2026 is joyous.
I love that.
I'm obsessed with this.
Yeah. I just feel like I ended 2025 in like just feeling so joyful and like really observing that in a lot of people. And like I've surrounded myself with a lot of that I kind of wanted to like continue that in 2026 as like a thing to follow because it made me happy. So
do you feel like it's like you ended the year on such a sweet, joyous note that you just want to continue that? Or is it like you want to do other things to cultivate that?
I think I want to do other things to cultivate that. I think something that I've learned in the travels since I left the US is like a lot of people kind of set out on these big travel experiences for, you know, they're trying to like escape a job for a little bit. Are they, you know, or they're trying to like escape or find something about themselves. And I think for me, I feel like it became like this like self-love trip for me, this growth that I needed, that I felt pulled to for so long. But I felt like at some point in the Philippines, I just kind of like had this feeling of like, I think this is like my love trip. Like I wanted to like intentionally like insert love into my life, like in every way that I could, like with my family, with my friends, like however, with random strangers, like all of these things. Like I wanted to
People on
like,
boats.
Yeah, exactly. Intentionally like insert that into my life, and it has brought me joy. And I just feel like intentionally moving towards or like living with love or joy is doing really good things for my life. And so I think trying to find it in different ways or spread it or notice it is kind of how I want to carry it into 2026.
That's beautiful. I love
beautiful. That's amazing.
On this rather joyous note then, do you guys have any big dreams for the year? Like, who do you want to be by the end of 2026, or what do you want to achieve? Is there anything, you know, that you want to carry from 2025 into 2026, or anything you want to change? Maddie,
Yeah,
do you have
that's a
any
great
thoughts?
question. That's a great question. So I think our dream for the year is, I guess, Ty, honestly, it's to follow suit a little bit, is intentionality. I think we kind of, I don't want to say put our lives on pause to come out here and care for my mom, because it's been great. Like, it's been a really good decision, and we still were able to pursue like what we wanted to pursue. But I think there's been a little bit of an element of like, I feel like Pat and I have lost a little bit of like our vision for our family, like our marriage. And so I think kind of reclaiming that a little bit, it's easy to fall into a pattern of like, in both families, because we are the kind of mobile ones, and because we are, you know, we don't have kids and we do work remote and we do love to travel, it's easy to kind of fall into this pattern of like, well, we just go when someone's hurting, which is a gift. It's a gift to be able to do that. It's one of the things I love most about being a full-time content creator, is the ability, I can show up when people are hurting. Like, we can get on a flight and go to Illinois. We can get on a flight and move our lives to Hawaii. But I think we need to reset a little bit with like, okay, but who are we? Like, we don't want to lose ourselves in our marriage in caregiving for others, which is really common with caregivers. But we're only 33. So part of this is such a unique experience because when we talk about, like, yeah, that kind of stuff is common for caregivers. Like, usually you're talking about someone in their 60s, 70s, and 80s caring for either their parents in their 80s or 90s or their spouse. Usually you're not talking about people in your early 30s, like pausing your whole life to kind of be a caregiver. So again, it was our decision. It was one that has been just not necessarily happy, but it has been joyful. I think there's a difference between those. Like, there have been the hardest moments this year, but I think we felt a lot of peace and joy just about like being able to do this. So anyway, when I think about 2026, I think Pat and I need to explore a little bit. We need to just kind of get back to exploration for the sake of exploration. I feel like last year it was like we're, exploring ideas or we're exploring new places for like a very specific reason, like for caring for family, for a certain event we're going to somewhere, or for a brand deal. And I feel like it's been a long time since we just went somewhere or like made a decision just for us. Which on the outside looking in, I think this is part of what makes this job sometimes feel lonely, because there's such a disconnect between what people see and what's going on behind the scenes. But for some people, I'm sure it's like, what are you even talking about? You traveled the world in 2025, and we did. And that's why I said it was one of my highlights. And also, it's also true that it's been a while since Pat and I just did something for the two of us. And the big one that we did last year was the castle trip, was the anniversary trip for our 10-year anniversary. And that was precious. That was really, really precious. It's been almost a year since that, though. So this year we're going to really do some of that. Should I say this now or should I say it in the Travel Talks episode? I'm going to say it in the Travel Talks episode because then you have to listen to it. But we're doing something this spring that we've talked about doing for years. And it's just really, 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 I couldn't be more excited. I couldn't be more thrilled and proud of us for making this decision in the midst of everything going on. But I'll talk about it in the Travel Talks episode. So you have to listen.
This is called
You're going to want to listen because it's exciting.
Juicy.
If you're watching on YouTube, you get to see my little celebratory dance that I like to do. But as far as who do I want to be, we're just going to go quarter by quarter. I want to be more calm, like I said, at the end of 2020 or the end of Q1 of 2026. Certainly, I would hope that persists through the end of all of 2026. But I think I want to feel more clarity by the end of 2026. But I also know, like, clarity might be an illusion. I don't know. I'm curious what y'all's thoughts are on that, because I feel like in my 30s, I've waited for like these big moments of clarity on like really big topics, and we haven't really had that. And so I'm like, is that just an illusion? Like, I don't know. I think you can feel peace about something for sure, but I don't know. I think we would, we're kind of homeless. We don't have a home. We don't really know what we're doing. So I think by the end of 2026, it would feel nice to kind of feel a strong sense of conviction in whatever we're doing next.
Yeah, I feel like it's really interesting that you connected clarity to peace, because as you asked that question in my head, I was like, I think you just like, not saying you have to, but in my head, I'm like, you just gotta like feel peace about the chaos. And and not that it's always chaos, but like, I feel like the clarity comes in accepting the peace of whatever's happening is happening. And that is very umbrella statement, very generalized, but sometimes, and I'm not saying I have all the answers by any means, or I feel that way, but I also, as you were talking, was going, yeah, I feel like who I'd want to be is like, I want to feel better about like this version of myself or whatever. So I feel like I relate in that sense of like wanting to find clarity, but at the same time, I'm also like, I just have to like find peace in maybe the uncertainty of it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. I appreciate that encouragement for sure, because it has felt like at times we are just this like rowboat in the midst of a hurricane, like the waves. And it's felt like we don't have an anchor, and we don't really have, I mean, our anchor is our loved ones, the people who we love and love us. But when those people are the ones who are also the source of grief, not because of anything they've chosen, just because it's the nature of the situation, it just can feel very untethering. Yeah. So I don't know, more on that. I mean,
and then
we'll
to be hard, like to be so far from people too. I feel like that's even something recently that I've just been like, damn, my friends are so far away. Like there have been so many points in the last like week or so that I've just been like, what I would give to just be in Hawaii and hug Maddie, because I just like feel for you. It's like that's tough. It's tough.
It is tough. But I think there's been a lot of opportunity for growth. I think something that I got really good at. Okay, I should say for me. I'm not saying I'm actually good at this. I'm saying for me. So, which really, if you're thinking about like on a scale of -10 to +10 with 0 in the middle, I think I was at a -10 before, and I think maybe I've like just reached 0. So it's like a lot of progress for me. But I think something that 2025 forced me into was being present, because we just quite literally didn't know what was going to happen 1 hour later from what we were doing. So, you know, especially with my mom, like sometimes it feels like we're on a 5-minute cycle where it's like the same things happening every 5 minutes, or, you know, this like big difficult situation will happen with her, and then 10 minutes later there's no recollection of it, so it's like a totally different mood. It's like dementia rage, and then 10 minutes later it's like, I want to snuggle you on the couch, and it's like, okay, like, so it's just a lot to like take in stride. I feel like we've been forced into this sense of like just roll with it. So I think that 2025 kind of forced me into that. That's why I don't know, I feel a lot better about my ability to just be like, you know what, all I can do right now is 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So please call me later. I can deal with this between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. That's the best I can give you. So I want that. Yeah, I think here's I think maybe I'm a verbal processor, so this is just clicking in my head. I think I've been forced into that, and I think it is a good thing, but I think what I want for 2026 is to actually be in that same state, but because I'm choosing it, not because I'm forced into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, completely.
100%.
So, Nikki, I'm curious for you. I know you just talked a little bit about some of your thoughts, but what about you? Like, what's your vision for the year? Who do you want to be when this thing is all over?
Yeah, I think that's, you know, part of what I'm unpacking with ChatGPT. But hi, I can't get therapy when I travel, so ChatGPT is my therapist.
So real. This is so real.
Yeah. And I feel like also when people talk about therapy, sometimes they're like, when people are like, I need therapy, it's like, I need therapy because I'm going through something really tough. Sometimes you need therapy because you're happy and you need to navigate that, and maybe you haven't experienced much of that in your life as well. So, yeah, ChatGPT is my therapist. I feel like I have a semi-solid, a tentative travel plan idea for the end of the year. But who I want to be in that, I think, is something I'm still unpacking. I don't entirely know. I think I'm kind of like in this phase of, I feel like I can feel a new chapter happening. Like and not just because it's the start of the year, I can feel things happening. And it's something I've been trying to be reflective on, is like those obvious chapter changes, but like the smaller ones too, where it's like, what do I feel is clicking to change into the next chapter? And sometimes I don't know until that next chapter is done. So I kind of feel like that's happening right now, but I don't I don't know what it is, in the sense of me as a person. In my business, I'm taking a little bit of a step back from Instagram, and I'm prioritizing creativity that I enjoy the most, which is photography and long form video content. And that has brought me a lot of joy. I am so much happier doing that. So I think that is kind of spearheading and carrying me into like whatever this next chapter is personally, but I haven't unpacked that yet. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see where I'm at the end of 2025, but I hope that there is a more well-balanced version of me in work, in my personal life, and how I dream my life to be. And hopefully that's like a little bit more achievable dreaming than like I can't have it dreaming.
I feel like this is the perfect opportunity to plug your YouTube channel for anybody listening. Nikki, go for goal.
It's just my name, except for, I think, it's NIKKITOMLIN. On all the other platforms, there's 2 I's in Nikki, so it's just one. And yeah, it's over there. I've uploaded 2 videos already this year, and I am very excited about it. So yeah, thanks, Ty.
So make sure you go and subscribe if you're not already, listeners, please. Follow along on Nikki's adventures. And 2026, it's a good year, I feel it.
We will link Nikki's YouTube channel because it's a different handle than her other ones, just by 1 letter, but we'll link it in the show notes for you guys because her YouTube videos are wonderful. They're just the best.
And you guys are eventually gonna get the one from the castle, so
I can't wait.
Me too.
I can't believe I really have a hard time like comprehending the fact that was like still within the last 12 months, because it feels like so much life has happened for all 3 of us since then. I can't believe that was less than a year ago.
I know.
I had that moment too when I was like going through and like looking at all my photos. I was like, that was this year. That was 2025.
Absolutely insane. I think that's a beautiful goal for the year, Nikki. Yeah.
I do too.
Thank you.
For me,
Ty, how about you? What you got?
Yeah, I think so. We have a lot of travel plans coming up next year, which is really, really exciting. But I will get into that in the travel episode. But in terms of like who I want to be, going back to the whole intentionality of it all, I want to just be more intentional with my relationships, especially the one with Ben. We have been married it'll be 6 years this year, and it's so precious. And honestly, one of my favourite memories from last year was just a weekend away that we had together in France. It was just the 2 of us, and just having that time to really bond again. I think when you're working full time and you also have a part-time job as well, sometimes you can just kind of slip into the routine of life, and having this massive trip to look forward to, knowing that we're going to make all of these precious memories together and really reconnect, is something that is just, it's something that I'm really, really looking forward to. But yeah, I think in terms of like big dreams, to piggyback off Nikki, I would really love to delve into long form content too. Obviously, this podcast here is long form content, and I am loving doing this. So this was a huge goal for the year. But also Ben and I would love to start, sharing some YouTube videos. I did set that intention for 2025 and it didn't happen. But if anyone's listening and they feel a bit let down that they didn't reach their goals for 2025, no one is judging you for it. You can carry them forward to the following year. So that is 2026 in a nutshell.
I love that. I want to go a little bit of a layer deeper, because I think that's fantastic with I'm excited. I would be sat for a Ben and Ty YouTube channel.
Same. I'd be like,
yeah,
let's go.
But
everybody shut up. My show's on.
Yeah, my reality show's on. Go away. Leave me alone. But kind of looking at like a little bit further with that, even, who do you want to be like on, December 31st, 2026, last day of the year, wherever you are in the world, whoever you're with, when you're looking around the table or whatever, talking about the year, like, who do you want to be in that moment?
That's a really great question. I think, when the new year comes around, people are always thinking about the different changes that they want to make. And I don't think I want to change. I want to just grow a little bit more into the person that I already am. And I think just I'm my happiest when when Ben and I are together and we are seeing new places and traveling and meeting with friends. And I feel like I have the first 6 months of this year in my head that I'm working hard, I'm saving money, we are getting prepped for this trip. And then the second half, I feel like I can't even really look that far ahead yet because it feels like a lifetime away. I know it's not. It's going to come around so fast. But I think the person who I want to be is I just want to be happy. That's as simple as it is. I just want to be happy and a bit more tanned than I am right now.
Yes.
But you guys,
the goal for everyone to be tan.
Okay, yes, for sure. I will never apologize. I love being tan. If skin cancer wasn't a thing, I think that instead of sleeping in my bed, I would sleep in a tanning bed every night. That's just where it's warm and cozy and it's delicious and lovely. So, but
I am a lizard on a rock at any point in time.
Yeah. Ty, I know you've alluded to what's happening a little bit on some of our previous pods in 2025, but what's happening later this year. But Global Besties, you have to listen to the next episode because our January travel episode, we are going to be talking about all of the like kind of borderline insane things that we all have going on this year. And we're going to be diving into like in more detail of what we're all kind of secretly alluding to because we have all three of us some crazy travel plans coming up. So
huge.
I'm excited for you, Ty. But I totally get that of like, you can't even like let yourself like look towards that because there's just, so much going on in the meantime. And especially the first half of the year, trying to kind of wrap your head around it. So.
But I also feel like I feel like I'm like watching you live 2025 me. Like you're just not the sadness and the depression, but like just the like, hi, this is one half of the year and this is the second half of the year. Like in my brain, 2025 was 2 years. It was like before I left for full-time travel and it was after. And like you guys I'm kind of dropping a few hints about what is happening with Ty, but I feel like there is that like, you're going to be like, oh, my life was this and now my life is this. And it's going to be so crazy to watch.
It's going to be interesting at the end of 2026 when we do this episode next year to look back at those defining moments in the year that is to come now and see what they are and who we were before and who we were after. So,
yeah. We'll have to come up with a good way to reflect on this episode come 2027.
Definitely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Global Besties, we just are so stoked for this community this year. We have big plans for it, big dreams for it, and that literally includes you guys. Like, we want to hear from you guys. That nothing would bring us more joy than to get an email in our AthousandMilesPod at Gmail. Is that our email? I should know that 100%.
Yeah.
AthousandMilesPod at gmail.com. You guys can reach out to us there, or on Instagram. But we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear if anything in this episode stood out from you or to you, and just if anything resonated with what you're going through. But we want to hear what your resolutions are. I think saying things out loud, saying your goals out loud is like literally, I mean, you hear it all the time. Like you have a 70% whatever chance of reaching your goal if you say it out loud. So we want to hear it. And we're so excited for this next episode. We are so stoked for this new format of doing kind of a deeper conversation about life and then a deeper conversation about travel. The travel episodes are going to be a little bit more unhinged in the best way, a little bit more of like our chaotic girl energy. So we have a huge January travel episode planned, and you guys need to listen to it because we're going to be basically reveal what we're doing, to the best of our knowledge, what we're doing. So check out the next episode if you want to figure out what is actually going on with the three of us, logistics-wise, travel-wise this year, and we're debuting a new game that I personally am obsessed with, so hopefully you guys will be obsessed with, but it's going to be a staple of our travel episodes, and it's going to be Unhinged, so stay tuned for that.
I am literally so excited for this game. You guys have no idea. So please listen to that episode. But before you leave, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe, like I said. And like Maddie said, we've got big plans for this community this year. So sharing it with someone, your mom, your bestie, your brother, your dad, whoever, we would really appreciate it. Bring them into the community, into the fam.
And we want this to be collaborative. So if you guys have any deep dive topics that you want us to discuss and you want to join the conversation, please let us know. Or if you have any travel questions or even any location related questions, please let us know because we would love to discuss them. So with that being said, we will catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much for being here wherever you are listening in the world. And always remember that you belong here. 2026.
2026, we're going.